Welcome back to Jones & Co. I'm your host, Brian Jones, and today we have with us our illustrious guest, Allysion Maynard Gibson, QC, who's a practicing attorney, and she's also the chairman of the University of the Bahamas, just recently appointed. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr.
Yes,
Jones.
and so in this segment, we'll be talking about the current affairs at University of the Bahamas. And interestingly, just this week, you've been all in the papers and on TV announcing the appointment of Dr. Eric Rolland as the new president of UB. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it?
It has been a very interesting week, starting off with Dr. Rolland, and today, the day we're taping, a wonderful end of the week with the appointment of Dr. Ian Strawn. It's a great week.
Indeed, exactly. So Dr. Ian
Strawn,
for
the university
as well, today we made the announcement that he is executive vice president, right?
And head of
UB North.
Promotion, and we're very excited.
Right, so it's an exciting time for the university,
Absolutely.
Right? So you look back, the university was just essentially upgraded to a university, if you will, from college status in 2016, right? And at the time, I think you were the Attorney General when the UB Act itself was being drafted.
Yes.
So it even seems like this is destiny for you to basically help steer the university and move it forward, right? And you had just a very short time to hit the ground running. Having just recently been appointed during presidential search, right? And so I know the public really wants to understand from you, how did you find this process? I mean, you obviously managed it actively, and we have a successful result, right?
I think so. I don't want to, again, it's not me, it's the entire Board of Trustees. You're a member of the Board of Trustees.
Absolutely.
I want Bahamians to understand that the Board of Trustees is comprised of Bahamians who are completely committed to the university. When you spoke about diversity, our board is diverse.
Quite.
We have persons who have attended, we have alumni of the university, we have persons from all sectors of the community serving on that board. And one of the things that I just find so extreme, I wanted to use the word precious, so let me say it, precious, is the fact that we are united. We are a board that is a functioning board, we're results oriented, and we speak with one voice.
Yes.
And I think that's really, really important for Bahamians to understand. And to lead such a board, it's a thrill. It's magnificent, it really, really is.
Yes, I've had the pleasure of serving on several boards over the years, but I must say the current UB board is super engaged, right? You know, people are active, they're participating. You can see that every stakeholder around the table clearly has a vested interest in the success and the future of the university.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And so in terms of the university and its strategy and so on, the university has a strategic plan which is pursuing, and one of the key components of this strategic plan is accreditation, right? And so that is the path that the university is currently set out to achieve that goal in the foreseeable future. We don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to be a road. Maybe you can speak a little bit about why do we want to be accredited as a university, and what that's going to do for us.
Okay, so thank you for that question. The entity, the international entity that we are seeking accreditation from is called SACS accreditation, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. They are regional accrediting bodies in the United States. SACS is known as the most rigorous in the United States, and it's the value of its accreditation is such that there are universities in Central and South America and in the Middle East that are also seeking SACS accreditation. So why are they and we seeking SACS accreditation? When a student leaving the university or any university goes to get a job, let me use an example that I heard today. You heard the same thing. Speaking to our students, explaining to them why it was so important. So someone from University of Miami that is SACS accredited, Vanderbilt University SACS accredited, goes in to get a job at Facebook. Someone who is University of the Bahamas going into Facebook and not accredited, not SACS accredited, there's a difference in the way that those two candidates are approached. Accreditation means that your employer or wherever you're going understands that the courses that you have done are these in this particular discipline. And there are standards that are applied across the board, and that because accreditation is an ongoing process, that they know that even as times change, those standards are met.
Right, and the necessary level of rigor is also met.
All of that, right?
Indeed.
So someone who goes in from University of Miami or UB unaccredited, not accredited, now your employer, if you're UB, has to ask whether or not you actually did all of the things that you are supposed to have done, all right? With accreditation, you are at the same equal standing with that candidate. So now it's just moving forward. There's no need to pause and explain. So it's really, really important that our students can walk into any door, anywhere in the world, and when you say that my certificate, my degree, is from University of the Bahamas and is SACS accredited, it opens doors.
Certainly.
Similarly, for faculty, it means that the university must do certain things to maintain its accreditation.
Yes.
Right? And so for the community, we know that accreditation now is like a rising tide.
Yes.
The mandate that standards must be met.
Right. Best practices.
The rigor with which those standards are enforced. We spoke about lack of enforcement earlier, right? Makes all the difference in the world. So it's really, and I'm so pleased that every stakeholder at UB, students, faculty, middle managers, all of the unions, all agree that accreditation is important, and that makes a big difference. It really does.
So basically having everyone rally around this common goal is the way forward.
Everybody is united around that goal.
Indeed.
That's great.
Absolutely. And also strategically for the university, which is also interesting in terms of Dr. Ian Strawn's appointment today as EVP, but also continuing as the president of UB North, is the plans to strategically expand that campus, right, in many ways. So first of all, we had the recent acquisition of the Kipling building. To establish.
He really worked very hard to get that deal done.
Absolutely did. And so centrally located downtown, like a university should be in a modern city. But we're looking to now to evolve that into a STEM-based campus. Would you like to speak to that?
I think it's science, technology, engineering, math. I always, Dr. Strawn is a playwright, director, etc. So I asked him to add a STEAM. Because I do believe that arts are important as well.
Absolutely.
But what is going to happen is that we're living in a technological world, a world where STEM is extremely important. So the focus on making that a STEM campus is going to equip our people to compete in an even more strategic, more productive, more obviously successful way in an international world.
Yes.
And also, as we make it a center of research excellence and STEAM excellence, we will find people from other places around the world wanting to come to University of Bahamas as well, and not just physically attending, but you can attend classes now using technology as well. So we are going to be very engaged with the manufacturing and industrial sector in Grand Bahama, and also the technological sector that is more and more moving to Grand Bahama, to help us develop our curriculum, develop our facilities. They, in the first instance, want to be satisfied that when our students graduate, they can actually walk into their door and hit the ground running.
Certainly.
But also, as we develop, we will attract other students from around the world as well.
Certainly. And now that obviously the university is moving towards accreditation, building up a new school like this, you can do that on the cutting edge, right?
Absolutely.
And using the best-in-class facilities and so on, and really put Bahamians in a position to compete internationally, as we do very well. In an analogy you gave, you were talking about Bahamians competing for jobs abroad.
Right.
But here we do international business. We have to operate locally on an international level as well. And it's super important that we have these resources here on the ground.
It is extremely important. There's not everybody who's going to be able to go abroad and work.
Right.
And if we're going to attract your cryptos, your light manufacturing, your meta, we're in Web3 and the metaverse.
Yes.
If we're going to attract people that operate in those arenas, we have to make sure that we are already there.
Yes.
And the mandate of UB is to drive national development.
Yes.
And so we have to be out front, on the cutting edge,
Yes.
and encouraging our students and developing productive citizens to step into that world.
Yes, and this is super critical to the economic development of our country, right? If we look at what we're doing in Freeport to build out the STEM school, it ties directly in what you're saying, because we realize as a nation that technology is very, very critical to our advancement. It, in fact, can allow us to even leapfrog some of our competitors and evolve at a faster rate than we currently are.
Absolutely.
We do have to leverage it because we do lack resources as well, right? So we must leverage technology. It's really critical. I totally agree.
Absolutely, and I like the fact that you referred to the fact that we can leapfrog.
Yes.
I mean, what young person do you know that really isn't au fait, like automatically with a smartphone or a tablet?
The digital natives.
Absolutely.
Right, it's second nature.
So we really have to tap into that and encourage our young people to live up to their full potential. We want to encourage them to innovation. When they're little,
Absolutely.
They have this capacity.
Right.
And so, Bahamians are very entrepreneurial as well. So, and that is one of the things that Dr. Rollin is really good at as well. He's a tech, really expert, Silicon Valley and all of that. So we'll be encouraging our young people from the university to fulfill all of their God-given potential in a 21st century manner.
Certainly right. In Freeport, the development of the university is also critical to the city itself regaining and recovering from the effects of Hurricane Dorian, right? And we see that universities they tend to be hubs of economic activity.
Yeah.
And we're expecting that also to be the case. But another interesting, I guess, observation. A few years ago, I guess there was a bit of a declaration that they wanted Freeport to become a fintech hub, right? And that the Bahamas, by extension, would be a fintech hub for the entire regions. We can be the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean, which was proclaimed. But there's very slow traction, and I think it's partly because we're slow in building the capacity, right, to support these industries. And so I know we're kind of badgering this point to death, but we cannot overemphasize the importance of building capacity in new industry sectors where we lack talent, and we know we have to import talent these days just to compete.
We cannot overstate it. You're absolutely right. And more than that, it's something that we owe our young people. We owe future generations to prepare them for the 21st century world. And which is, if you just look at these number of years in the 21st century, how rapidly things have changed. It's nothing like the 20th century at all.
No.
Rapid change, and it is our obligation to invest in our people, to prepare our people to be productive citizens.
I like the word you used just now, prepare. We weren't prepared for Dorian, right? And so you had many students just missed out on, so there was a huge gap essentially in their curriculum, their schooling, their knowledge building, and let alone the economic, yes, but also emotional fallout, and trying to deal with recovering. There's still a lot of catching up to do. Right, and the university has a significant role to play in shoring up some of those high school graduates who, just didn't really get to pull everything that they could have out of high school. And so we have, there's some remediation, I think, that can occur, and the university has a role to play there too.
A huge role.
Yeah.
It is already playing a role, for example, with TA Thompson students are on our campus.
Absolutely.
For their classes, right?
Yes.
Because their facilities are not available at the moment. That's our job, to facilitate. Also, the education department will be actually having an analysis of what has actually happened to our students post, not just Dorian, but also COVID, they were supposed to be attending Zoom classes. Did they? what cracks will open for them to fall into and that kind of thing. We can't just allow our children who have fallen, we can't abandon our children who have fallen through the cracks. And the university, as you said, has a role, and we are going to play our role in that arena. We're going to do it. We are doing it.
Yes. So what are you most excited about today about the university's future?
I think as well, accreditation obviously is number one.
Yes.
But also, while we are pursuing accreditation, we're going to be getting righting the ship. I wouldn't say right-sizing, righting the ship. What do I mean by that? At the moment, we have a situation where we haven't had audits. You're on the board from a situation where there have been no audits since 2012, which is, it's not a good situation for any organization to be in. We have turned things around, you, Brian, on the board as well, that we expect to have our audits up to date by the end of this year.
Yes.
That's the mandate, and just today I spoke with the relevant accounting firm, and that is a board mandate. That is important because once we are able to produce our fiscal state, we will now be able to go into the private sector, to international organizations to raise money to do the things that we want to do, as opposed to simply sitting back and saying, oh, the government will give us money. The government will continue to give the University of Bahamas money, but we want to be able to wean ourselves away and to actually become more and more independent, and also have a lot of significant revenue generation. We want to be able to have a situation where we are pouring into our students, improving the student experience, the organizations on campus funding them, other kinds of experiences for students on campus, registration, seamless. You heard them speak today about their experiences, the classes and all that kind of thing, registration and all of that. We also want to be able to pour into our faculty. If we're going to be a center for excellence for research, we have to make sure that we raise money so that our faculty members can have the necessary grants to enable them to conduct their research. All of that goes back to our audits, which will be in place so that we can do all of these things as well. Right. As well as I also would like to point to the ability to formulate a public-private sector partnership so that we can actually do things like develop the sports arena that is adjacent to UB, so that it becomes a UB facility, and it could also generate revenue for use as spring training and that kind of thing. The result of that revenue, we can also have dorms, we can build dorms, and all of it will be rationalized because we will have the economics in place to make it sustainable. Yes. And then finally, I want to mention, I'm really excited about our thrust as a board to make sure that research, as it happens in the Bahamas, and it is happening in the Bahamas, and manifests don't know anything about it, to make sure that is channeled through the University of the Bahamas as well.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a very exciting time.
Right, exactly. I mean, part of becoming a university is undertaking research, right? Exactly. And doing it in a serious way. And we're already seeing significant progress in terms of the climate change facility. And that headed up by Dr. Adele Thomas. You know, they're doing brilliant work, and really that goes to show the fact that once we develop our niche and we actually garner our own resources, we can compete on the world scale. Absolutely. And we will be a resource for the world. Absolutely, and we don't. When you say garner our resources, our best resources are people. What's here. Indeed. And the enthusiasm and so the indomitable Bahamian spirit. People who want to do research in the Bahamas, marine biology and those kinds of things, we're the logical place to be, right? And so we have what they want. That's right. And we just need to make sure that it is channeled in the right way to benefit students, faculty, Bahamians, the Bahamas generally. It's just going to be, it just is. Not going to be and is. The opportunity is here, the time is now, and in short order, I'm very confident that we will almost like a quantum leap. And I'm going to be really very careful to acknowledge the fact that the University of Bahamas right now is comprised of people who love deeply and passionately UB. Yes. And they brought it to where it is today, right?
but I want to acknowledge the past, the understanding on the ground, the vision and the passion of those people. I believe that they would expect us, and they do expect us, to make sure that UB benefits fully from all of the opportunities that exist in the 21st century. And you're on the board. Our intention as a board is to make sure that happens.
That's right. And so not only do the students and the public have great expectations, but we, the board, have great expectations of ourselves. And we're going to hold ourselves to a very high standard, aren't we?
And yes, absolutely yes. And the public can be satisfied that that will in fact happen, not only because we say so, but a part of the accreditation process is that the accrediting body actually examines the way that the board functions and the way that the board operates and all of that. Exactly. Every part of the university is assessed.
Yes, there'll be validation.
We have to be absolutely.
On the way, indeed.
On our P's and Q's.
That's right. So we have a lot of work cut out for us, don't we? But we're ready for the challenge.
Absolutely. And I said today, all hands on deck. It's not us alone. Every UB affects, if we're going to be driving national development, as is our mandate in the Act, everybody, every Bahamian and every person within our borders is impacted by what happens at UB. So we welcome everybody on board. Let's make this happen.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a very engaging conversation.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Hope to have you back again.
As well.
It's a pleasure to serve.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to serve with you on the board of UB. And yes, let's have an extended conversation. Perhaps maybe we bring Peter and it's maybe a couple other board members next time.
They would love to come.
Right, when we gain some traction. Perhaps even the new president.
Yes, and together with Dr. Strawn, I think I would love, and I hold you to that.
That's going to be a roundtable discussion.
It's really important for people to know, so who is your board, that kind of thing. It's important for people to know.
So we'll do that. So thank you so very much.
Thanks very much.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Jones & Co. I'm your host, Brian Jones, and this episode was brought to you by Agio Digital. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.